you look beyond Dave and I, you're looking up the Battle Line Road, and you're also looking at the back of the position of Barry's brigade, what had been Baldwin's brigade, and it is that brigade. It's two regiment front, and the battery, the 5 guns of the 5th Indiana Battery, they having lost one of the guns in the withdrawal from the Winfrey Field area on the evening of the 19th. But it's that brigade that Polk attacked primarily on the morning of the 20th that we looked at earlier today. Of course, because of the vegetation, we were looking at it from a little bit up there to your left front and looking southwestward, but we're now immediately behind Barry, and he had 2 of his regiments in the front line along with the battery, and then the other 2 regiments were in a second line, laying on the ground between us and the monuments and guns up there today.
So first of all, Dodge's brigade has had a rough night for the night of September 19th. You'll notice that this tablet lists 3 regiments: 79th Illinois, 29th and 30th Indiana. The Pennsylvanians, 79th Pennsylvania, is not on here, even though they're part of the brigade, because by and large, the colonel, lieutenant colonel, and a whole bunch of other Pennsylvanians have been captured in that night action. There's a collision between Preston Smith, the Tennesseans, and some Texans. So Dodge's brigade is among the hardest hit with that night fight. So much so that they take the remnants of the 79th Pennsylvania and attach them to Colonel Buckner of the 79th Illinois, and they will function as men of the 79th Illinois for the rest of the fight. And I think they attached them as a company, but I don't remember. They may have distributed them, because they're short so many officers, they may have simply distributed them through the ranks of the 79th Illinois. Dodge himself has had a bad night. He became separated in that action from his brigade. He wandered around for a couple of hours. He stumbled into a Confederate, surreptitiously took that Confederate prisoner and got the man to lead him back towards the Federal line. He didn't bring that guy in. That's away. Dodge wrote all of this in a really wonderful, detailed article that was reprinted in an Indiana newspaper about 1878 or 1879. And so I like the account because it's pretty early in the memory process compared to some of these 1880s and 1890s accounts, and also because it's just so honest. Few brigade commanders, I think, are going to talk about how they got lost, they wandered around, they thought they were going to get captured. He eventually...
He actually is for a short time.
Yes, he is. He is. But in the confusion, he gets away. He ends up somewhere in this area. He stumbles upon a Union battery, and he doesn't have his aide-de-camp. He posted his servant. I don't think he has a servant. I think he has a soldier. He posted a soldier with his report and everything, and then never found him again. Never found him that night. So he's all alone in the dark, no blankets, no food, no water. Finally, he finds this Union battery, and they kind of make a bed for him and share their food with him, and that's how he spends the night. He doesn't reconnect with his brigade and the rest of his stuff until the next morning. Sometime, probably near dawn, he he at last starts the process of where's the division and where's the brigade, and reunites with them probably 5 a.m., 4:30, who knows? He doesn't really say, but it's just slightly before dawn, as the Army is stirring and getting itself sorted out. There's a lot of that sorting out to do. All of the troops that have been involved, especially that have been involved in the night fighting, are still rounding up stragglers and other men who got separated from the fight. And so, if you can imagine, there are companies out here taking roll. There are details trying to prepare food. This field would have been quite a beehive of activity. Dodge's brigade is part of the division. This tablet here says they're in the second line. Really, for a time, as we mentioned, they're in the third line, because the division, Johnson's division, is organized on such a narrow frontage that it basically only has a frontage of one brigade with 2 regiments in the front line.
They're essentially in column of brigade. The division is deployed in column of brigade. Each brigade in 2 lines battle, one behind the others.
There's going to be some more shuffling, probably most significantly by General Rosecrans himself, who sometime around 6 o'clock departs his headquarters at the Widow Glens, moves up, rides his line of battle. They're expecting a fight. Every Federal is expecting to be attacked. And as it gets lighter and there's no combat, there's no sign of advance from the Confederates, the Federals start taking advantage of that fact to, well, Rosecrans rides his line. He has 2 objectives. He needs to come up here and meet with George Thomas, who has called him up here because Thomas's strong new position here does not reach all the way to the Reed's Bridge Road, and Thomas wants to consult with him on that. But also he wants to survey the front line, and as General Rosecrans tends to do, he tweaks things and adjusts things. He orders a couple of divisions to shift around. He orders Palmer to shift, and as a result, Dodge will have enough space sometime perhaps 7 o'clock to open his line and put 2nd Brigade on the front, and that puts well, Dodge then becomes the 2nd line of the division. Thomas and Rosecrans are essentially, well, Thomas is asking for enough strength to prolong his flank, his right, left.
His left.
Yeah, left, Confederate right.
Your other left.
I am left-handed, so as I've announced to many groups before, I am prone to call this the wrong hand all the time. So it's my dominant hand. So Thomas wants to extend his left. He has actually a fairly imbalanced line in Kelly Field. He has a strong depth. King has 2 brigades, 1 forward and 1 back, in that sort of staggered line that Jim described it. General Turchin will later use the sort of the classical military term of a crochet, where a line overlaps slightly. If this is the front and this is the rear, those lines overlap slightly, but they don't connect. And then we have Palmer's division, who's now adjusted with 2 brigades on the front line and 1 in support. We have Johnson's division, the same arrangement, 2 brigades on the front line and 1 in support. We have Baird's division with all 3 brigades in line, and Baird's regulars, King's brigade, another brigade that's been very roughly handled on the 19th, by the way, and suffered heavy casualties. has been overrun, or outflanked and overrun, and is greatly reduced in numbers. They're on the flank of that position.
And they're the last to go into line on the line. They had spent the night still in the Big Cedar Glade, north of where they'll fight, and almost to the Reeds Bridge Road. And on the morning of the 20th, about dawn, they're drawn south and put on the left of Scribner's brigade.
So about the last thing Thomas probably said to Rosecrans as he left the midnight conference was, "We need to strengthen my left." He gets up here in the middle of the night and sends another message to Rosecrans somewhere about 2 a.m. and says, my left doesn't reach Reeds Bridge Road. I need to strengthen the left. These are the comments that draw Rosecrans up here. They ride the length of this line. Rosecrans and George Thomas meet at the regulars' position, Johnny King's brigade's position. They even accept a cup of coffee from some of the regulars who are boiling coffee, and then they ride forward to the McDonald House, the visitor center, basically, and they survey the position. And Rosecrans agrees that George Thomas needs more men. He needs troops to extend his line all the way to Reeds Bridge Road. He needs at least a division to do that. And now, he could, in theory, extend this more compact formation, extend it further north. But in doing so, he would move these reserve units into the front line, or essentially discard Casey's and move the brigades, instead of 2 up and 2 back, move them all into the front line. Thomas doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to weaken this position. He expects to be attacked at any minute still. I think the whole Federal Army is a little bit surprised that they're being given this much time to prepare for what they expect to be the knockout blow. It's also important to remember that from the Union mindset here, right now, they feel they are badly outnumbered. Rosecrans has brought roughly 58,000 men to the field. The post-war years are full of math, National Tribune math, where various generals and certainly Rosecrans himself try and calculate